Hi everyone, Malachite here. I wanted to get this video out sooner, but I've been sick, as you can probably may or may not be able to tell. Uh, my voice is not the greatest, but anyway, the Diablo 4 PTR for Season 7 goes live today. I'm on PS5, so I can't unfortunately participate, which is why I want to get this out sooner. But I just want to take a moment to highlight the rogue and a lot of the changes. In particularly for the Shadow Clone, which is one of the biggest winners, I think, of this update. They've massively overhauled it, along with any kind of pet-like abilities in general. They've all been tagged as summons now. The big thing is now the Shadow Clone, and along with Necromancer minions, Druid companions, and etc. When they deal damage, the game is going to attribute the damage as being done by the player. So what this means is any kind of lucky hit effects, as well as any buffs that directly affect yourself, will now affect their actions. Unfortunately, though, for one little thing here with the Grasp of Shadow that I've been rocking here, they did change this item in the notes, and I'll get to that in a second, so that I believe they changed it so that it's a skill that you cast specifically will spawn the clone. They basically just fixed it so that it can't. If they hadn't done that, the way this is worded now, basically what would happen would mean you could do a skill, it might spawn a shadow clone, and then the shadow clone could spawn a shadow clone, and so you would just be like infinite clones. It'd be hilarious. But so the main thrust of my build that I've been using here, I haven't quite gotten the Torment 4, unfortunately, despite having some pretty decent gear. But I got a feeling like this build is going to be like one of the S tier builds this season. Like it really is going to be that good with all the new stuff and all the buffs and everything they did. Before we even get started, I just want to say, like, at least for the version that I'm running, the Ring of Starless Skies here is basically a prerequisite. Like you have to have this for it to really work. Otherwise, you're gonna have to use like the version of the build I was running before, where I was essentially using. I was using as you can see, I took all my extra points out of it. I had Invigorating Strike leveled up. Just because it didn't simply have the energy to just spam flurry endlessly. But with the Ring of Starless Skies, I'm able to take it out and just basically just use nothing but flurry, and then use dash as my as my other main attack. And the reason for that is two reasons. So one of them is we go down here. I believe it's this upgrade here, Discipline Dash, where we're at the end of the dash. It does 350% X, which is a massive modifier, and knocks them down, which will also incidentally proc trick attacks, which is huge. Side note, this is something that the Shadow Clone currently does not benefit from, but will benefit from on the PTR notes. And then I also have, I believe it's on my ring. No, it's on my, yeah, here we go. And I've got the Shadow Slicer aspect, where Dash spawns a Shadow Clone that deals again more. Which, actually, let's just get to that right now. Just spawn the dummy. Let's switch to a boss dummy. Let's see if it works in the first try. I should get 3 hits when I do this. 1, 2, nope. Okay, didn't get lucky. There's only 2 there. And there's the 3rd hit. Yeah. So I'm hitting, and then the power is going off, and then the Grasp of Shadow is going off, triggering like a 3rd hit. Unfortunately, only that first hit is benefiting from those 2 massive multipliers. But like I said, in the PTR, it will. So that's if that's basically like a 1500, like that's crazy. That's a 1500x multiplier, really. If you think of, assuming you have these maxed out. Actually, like I have the focus on flurry right now, mostly because I'm using flurry for to fuel preparation to help get along in tandem with my flicker steps to get my shadow clone back. But that won't. And I have a flurry temper on my weapon here, for double damage and whatnot. Next season, though, like I said, because the shadow clone is going to be so much stronger in and of itself, probably swap that for the chance for dash to deal double damage, because it's just going to be spamming dash and shadow step over and over like relentlessly. So I'm just gonna go switch over to the patch notes real quick, just highlight some of the changes. So yeah, so Shadow Imbuement is getting a lot of buffs. The enhanced Shadow Imbuement is being changed so that you get the 15 crit versus enemies that are just infected by the shadow. It doesn't matter if they're injured anymore. You just get the crit. And then the other, no, they're not doing anything to mixed, which is the one I'm using now. But the blended is being updated to just make them vulnerable, like from any damage from it, not just the primary explosion. And they added an extra second to it, which is pretty nice. The other relevant stuff. Let's see. Oh yeah, that was another big one. With the where is it? Discipline Shadow Step. They're increasing that from 200 to 300x. So that's just more damage. Shadow Clone is a summoning. There's a whole lot of rogue buffs. Like I honestly believe Rogue is probably going to be the top class next season. I'm just looking for the stuff that's changes that are relevant to my build. Let's see, Shadow Crash, which I have here. They change. All right, so they're just upping the lucky hit chance on it. It's gonna go from a flat 10 to up to 30 if you max it out, and it's always going to be for the full 1.5 seconds. So that's actually a pretty nice change, even with just a single point. So I'm just going to go back into town for a moment. Go look at some of the aspect changes. Yeah, so basically, real quick, just like I said, the basic thrust of the build is I rely on the Ring of Starless Skies to basically use Flurry infinitely, which gets my shadow, helps get my shadow clone back. And then using my shadow clone both makes me invisible and instantly resets my shadow imbuement. And then it's just a cycle of spamming dash and shadow step in between the flurry spam, and then constantly going invisible. It's actually like kind of tentatively calling it my quote unquote Naruto build. No, need the occultist. All right, so actually you can just go into the Codex of Power, I suppose. But
until spring.
let's go to the collection. Yeah, offense. Using. Yeah, okay, so this is a big one that's getting changed, the aspect of corruption. So it says, it's right now, yeah, your imbuements have 25 to 40 chance, for vuln. And they're increasing it to 40 to 60x potency and removing the requirement for vulnerable. So that's big. That's actually probably going to be a mandatory aspect after. I'm not using it now currently, even though I am pretty much inflicting vulnerable constantly, but that's probably one of the changes I'm going to make. And then where's the other one? Still here. Yeah, aspect of cursed sustenance is another one, which I think I am using right now. Let's see. I thought I had it set. Nope, thought I did have it on. Guess not. But okay, so basically they're changing it so that you're. Oh right, should have mentioned that sooner. I for my key passive, I'm using Victimize. Mainly because my original thinking was, well, I'm making enemies vulnerable and constantly sending off explosions. Why not have the Shadow Clone set them off too? And that's still going to be the case. Um, could honestly go for momentum. It's not a bad idea, but I I like Victimize a lot more, especially with this change because now with instead of being healed from the victimized explosions, it's going to give you barrier for 5 to 15% of your maximum life with the aspect maxed out, which is pretty awesome, honestly. Clandestine aspect is another, which I am running. I have it. They're increasing this from 1 to 3 to 3 to 5. So that's actually crazy. Just 5 additional ranks to dash and shadow step is huge. Wait, where did I met? Hang on, I went over. Oh, it might have been further back in the notes. But yeah, they're changing it so investing in your ultimate skills, you get like a benefit from maxing them out. I can't find it in here. I think it's I don't want to scroll that far back up. But yeah, so there's an extra little buff for getting the shadow clone up to rank 5. I forget exactly what it is, but okay. Yeah, so here's what they're doing to the grasp of shadow. So here it is as it is now. They're gonna add an inherent to it where your shadow clones instantly kill not injured non-elites, which is pretty cool. I don't know how much that'll matter. Like in the pit, it might, but probably not. And the skill ranks of your core skills are now marksman and cutthroat specifically, which is I'm not really sure if that matters at all. But and they changed. Sorry, they changed the lucky hit to now crit to be crit chance, which is actually pretty nice because it's no longer a lucky hit effectively. Yeah, now it says simply casting a marksman or cutthroat skill has a 30 to 50% chance to summon a shadow clone that mimics that skill. Yeah, so they changed. Yeah, they made it so that like I said, you can't just have one shadow clone go off and then that shadow clone then has a chance to spawn. That's why they did that. At the same time, it's kind of nice as it means you're not dependent on lucky hit for that. It's just a flat. It's just a flat rate whenever you use the skill. And they also reduced the internal cooldown on the shadow clone being summoned from 3 seconds to 1 second. Kind of hoping they reduce that a little bit more to or better yet, just take it out altogether. But we'll see. Yeah, so that's it for the changes in the rogue patch notes. The only other thing, okay, I guess I'll just go over the Paragon real quick, and then maybe I'll do a quick demonstration. So for my glyphs, I've got closer for the cutthroat damage because I'm only using cut. Well, yeah, I'm using flurry. I might add that might get changed. I don't know. I also like the damage reduction though. I got versatility here, so your non-basic and non-core skills. So this would be your dash and shadow step. Deal 25x more damage, and it's also just buffing the stuff around it. Fluidity, similar deal. Just whenever I use those skills, I do more damage and get energy regeneration, which just helps maintain flurry. Exploit because duh, I need to stack vulnerable damage. And then Night Stalker was the one that was kind of iffy about. Like I was having a hard time deciding like initially what I wanted to run with, but I've got this mainly because entering stealth, reduces the cooldown of the imbuement, and you're actually going to be going into stealth quite a bit with this build. Although I might switch that for something else, and we'll see. Let's see what boards do. Basic build. Right, went for exploit weakness because, of course, I'm going to victimize. Need that. And then for no witnesses, because again, use Shadow Clone, pretty mandatory. Don't think I grabbed the one on this board. No. Which one was? I think this was the imbuement one. Right, no, Eldritch Bounty. No, yeah, that is the one I want. This was the last one I picked. I just don't have the point. I haven't gotten the hit 250 to get to the node yet. And then we have Dance Macabre because, of course, casting ability or subterfuge increases your damage by 50%, which spamming those constantly, so that's just a constant 50% X mod, which is nice. There is one other aspect I was contemplating. I believe it's the one that, like, you use an agility, it boosts your next, it reduces, no, you use the subterfuge, it reduces your agility cooldowns by 20, and then use, which I thought that one was getting buffed. Just gonna double check. Let's see, where are we? No, I guess not. I thought they were buffing it, but I suppose they're not. Let's go right here. Agility. Unless it was under defensive. Oh no, it is under offensive, isn't
Very
it?
well.
I was also thinking of incorporating stun grenades at one point, but nah. Yeah, that's it. Aspect of synergy. The main reason I ended up not using this is just because I'm using my agility skill as the concealment, and that doesn't do damage, so it's only benefiting from half of it, and it's not really worth it. Especially with those other changes, like you can get your cooldowns pretty freaking low as it is. Incidentally, this is actually one of the rare builds where you don't need the cowl for, like, I mean, you could still run it for extra trick attacks. I think if you can get it's still a good, probably a good option, but you could go with a Shaco as well. Probably more ideal for the flat cooldown reduction on it, especially if you can get a greater fix on that cooldown reduction. Gear-wise, pretty lenient. Oh, right, there's the new boots coming as well. Like I said, I've got the Flicker Steps on right now, but they're adding a new set of boots that grants, I believe it automatically gives Shadow Imbuement to all your agility skills, which is nuts. I think it also gives like a huge damage multiplier for Shadow Imbuement. But I'm just gonna go do a pit. So let me get my mercenary. I dismissed my merc briefly just for the demonstration purposes.
What kind of bird is it that you
I didn't want her damage getting in the way while I was in the in the training hall. So let's just go to Karagar real quick, run a pit, just to give you guys an idea of how the build works.
It shows violence. Me too.
Let's just go with the baseline Torment 3. Even though my gear is decent, it's not perfect. I'm not super confident. My controller stopped charging. It was. Right, so basically, yes. Fire up Shadow, imbuement, just spam away. Get the phone out, it resets the imbuement. Shadow Step is there both for damage and like an emergency button. And as you can see, thanks to like the Ring of the Star of Skies and a few other things, I can pretty much just wrap it. I do need to be a little careful though. It's because like it's rare, but I can run out of fury if I'm not paying attention. Or discipline, sorry. Like, it is pretty hilarious. The PTR actually should be live, like, right as I'm recording this, so... I'm sure there's gonna be, like, other videos and whatnot covering this. Just trying to run through real quick, get to the boss, and see how this handles the boss fights. Oh, wow, okay. Haha, of course. And that's the only time I've ever died on this build. It has to be when I'm recording, because of course... that's too funny. What even got me? Yeah, I'm not sure what even hit. I only really started this like just after the mid-season patch as well. It's because they finally, like, before that, Victimize was still basically garbage, but now they massively increased the, they drastically reduced the internal cooldown on it. I'm not sure if they affected the proc rate of it, but... or chance, I should say. Because I believe it had something like a max of a 50% chance to go off, and... it does fire off fairly consistently now. Okay, I really, really hate this board. Helps that they fixed the concealment too, because apparently it wasn't always worth the countering concealment upgrade was not always going off, and now no matter what, you get the increased movement speed for the full 5 seconds. There we go, it's what I'm talking about. Like, look how fast my Shadow Clone's coming back. Like, it's so dumb. Thanks to preparation and just spamming Flurry. I know I'm not using it nearly as much as I should be. I'll admit it, this is not, maybe not the most ideal execution of the build, but... so let's just do the boss then. Like, look at the stagger bar. Fall out and we'll just wail on them. And there we go. Yeah, I know. People are doing, like, hit 100 and blah, 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 and, like, just... That's not really the point. The point was just more to show off that even right now, the Shadow Clone, like, crappy as it is crappy, works pretty well. it's after once all these changes go through, along with all the buffs and whatnot that they're making, and I'm not even factoring in like the seasonal stuff, like the witchcraft powers. I'm convinced this is going to be an S tier build. I'll let like Woody or whoever just like work out all the finer details. I just wanted to show you guys real quick that even right now, the Shadow Clone is not a dead skill. You can absolutely make it work if you want to have fun with it, but I do think it's going to be an awesome ability to play with in January when Season 7 goes live. That is, assuming anyone's even still playing this after Path of Exile goes up in a couple of days. So we'll see. Still on the fence about getting early access for that, just because it's going to be like $50 Canadian probably. And
You welcome me when
that
no
kind
one
of stings
else would.
considering the game's eventually going to be free, but I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, that's it for the video. Thanks for listening to me ramble, and I'll see you next time.